Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. Quick news update without any fluff. If you like this style, hit the like button. Let's talk about Franco Colapinto, who is facing a delicate situation at Alpine and is already evaluating options outside Formula One for 2026. According to the Dutch portal Formula1.nl, the Argentine driver's management team considers a contract renewal with Alpine unlikely and has therefore started talks with other categories, such as the World Endurance Championship and IndyCar. Colapinto stepped in for Jack Doohan at this year's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, but has yet to score a single point this season. Throughout the year, he has consistently been outperformed by teammate Pierre Gasly, who is responsible for all 20 points Alpine has earned so far. The Argentine's best finish this season has been 13th place, and the team currently sits at the very bottom of the Constructors' Championship standings. The difficult moment is compounded by recent incidents, including a crash during a Pirelli test just days ago. Despite these setbacks, Alpine has confirmed that Colapinto will race in the Dutch Grand Prix, the first event after the summer break, and is expected to remain with the team until the end of the season. For Colapinto, the uncertainty surrounding his future raises questions not only about his performance, but also about Alpine's long-term strategy. The team's struggles this year have been significant, and with a major overhaul expected across the grid ahead of 2020 SIXS regulation changes, every seat is under scrutiny. Alpine's decision on whether to retain Colapinto will likely depend on his results in the final races of the season. Strong performances could give him a lifeline in Formula One, but continued underwhelming results would make a departure almost inevitable. If that happens, his move to categories like WEC or IndyCar could open a new chapter in his career, providing him with competitive machinery and fresh opportunities to prove his talent on an international stage. Adding to the challenge is the fact that Alpine itself has been dealing with broader organizational changes. The team has undergone technical staff reshuffles, and rumors suggest more shifts could be on the horizon. This instability makes it even harder for drivers like Colapinto to find consistency and showcase their full potential in a car that has struggled to keep pace with the midfield. Furthermore, the pressure from Alpine's academy drivers is growing. Several promising young talents are waiting for a chance in Formula One, and Colapinto's seat could be a prime target if the team decides to refresh its lineup. Names from F2 and other feeder series are already being mentioned in the paddock, adding to the uncertainty about who will line up alongside Gasly in 2025. In the meantime, speculation is already building over who might take his place at Alpine next year. With several promising names in the junior ranks and experienced drivers potentially available, the team has options if it chooses to make a change. But whether a replacement could deliver immediate results in such a challenging car remains to be seen. So what's your take? Do you think Colapinto truly doesn't deserve to stay in Formula One? And who would be your pick to replace him at Alpine next season? Hello everyone, here's a quick and straightforward update to keep you informed about the latest developments in Formula One. Red Bull is both relieved and highly motivated after securing Max Verstappen's presence for the next season. The confirmation was met with enthusiasm inside the team, which can now focus entirely on the development of its 2026 car. This new machine will be built under a fresh technical regulation, and according to the team, it must be competitive to avoid going through the same uncertainties they've faced recently. Over the past few weeks, Red Bull's performance has declined, and that naturally opened the door for speculation. Rumors began circulating in the paddock, with multiple behind-the-scenes negotiations taking place. Mercedes, in particular, made its interest in signing Verstappen very clear. Still, with so much uncertainty surrounding next year, Verstappen has decided to commit to staying at Red Bull for now. His long-term decision will come later, especially after he sees the new cars on track and finds out which team adapts best to the upcoming regulations. While Verstappen's position is now settled, there's still an open question about the second Red Bull seat. Yuki Tsunoda, Verstappen's current teammate, does not have a guaranteed place for next season. His 2025 results have not been particularly convincing. Although the team acknowledges some improvement in the Japanese driver's performance, reports suggest that Red Bull has already decided not to keep Tsunoda for 2026. One name that keeps coming up in discussions is Zach O'Sullivan, who is reportedly being considered for the seat. Additionally, Red Bull is evaluating the possibility of bringing a new rookie into Racing Bulls, its sister team. This would create a reshuffle in the driver lineup across the organization. Behind the scenes, both Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko and team principal Laurent Mekies have emphasized how important Verstappen's confirmation is. According to them, this removes a massive weight from their shoulders. They can now focus entirely on designing and developing the new car with the certainty that Verstappen will be in it for 2026. The team also believes that Verstappen's commitment will push him to give his maximum effort in helping to shape a competitive car. With his feedback and involvement, Red Bull hopes to ensure that the RB model for 2026 will be capable of fighting at the front from the very first race. Now, the big question is whether Red Bull can actually deliver. The new regulations represent both a challenge and an opportunity. Teams that adapt quickly could dominate the early years of this new era, while those who miss the mark might struggle for seasons to come. The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The commitment of a driver like Max Verstappen is an asset any team would value. Whether Red Bull can capitalize on it will depend entirely on how well they execute their 2026 project. So what's your take? Do you believe Red Bull will manage to build a truly competitive car and keep Verstappen beyond 2026? Or do you think other teams might lure him away once the new era begins? Stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated with everything you need to know from the world of Formula One. Always direct, always focused on what really matters. The saga over who will drive for Cadillac next year, or which drivers, if they go with two changes, is far from over. Each day brings new twists, and the team still seems uncertain about which path to take. Not long ago, reports claimed Valtteri Bottas had already signed a contract, with an official announcement expected soon so he could take part in testing later in August. But that reveal never came, and now fresh information suggests the second seat is still very much up for grabs. According to sources, the contenders include Brazilian driver Felipe Drugovich, currently Aston Martin's reserve, Sergio Perez, recently dropped by Red Bull and now without a seat, and a handful of rookies. Many insiders see Drugovich as the favorite if Cadillac decides to pair Bottas with a younger talent for the long term. If the priority shifts to a proven name who brings substantial funding, Perez remains a viable and attractive option. New reports from Planet F1 and Argentine outlet Olé indicate Perez is now extremely close to finalizing a deal. Negotiations have reportedly progressed well in recent days, with an official announcement planned for the Italian Grand Prix weekend, September 5th to 7th. If confirmed, the 35-year-old Mexican would return to the grid, bringing over a decade of Formula One experience, multiple race wins, and podium finishes to the ambitious Cadillac project. The potential arrival of Perez raises another question. Would this affect Bottas's place in the lineup? Some within the team had openly stated they wanted only one experienced veteran, with the second seat reserved for a younger driver to build for the future. Signing two seasoned competitors could shift the balance of the team's long-term strategy. Cadillac faces a pivotal choice. On one hand, Bottas and Drugovich could form a blend of experience and youth, setting a stable foundation for the years ahead. On the other, pairing Bottas with Perez would create one of the most experienced lineups on the grid, offering immediate racekraft and commercial appeal, but perhaps at the expense of nurturing a future star. There's also the marketing factor to consider. Perez has a massive fan base in Mexico and Latin America, a loyal following that could boost Cadillac's visibility and commercial reach in key markets. The sponsorship opportunities tied to his name alone could be a decisive point in the negotiations, especially for a team still establishing its footing in Formula One. Another angle is the development of the car itself. A pair of seasoned drivers could accelerate feedback and improvements, potentially shortening Cadillac's learning curve in its first years. However, this approach might limit the team's ability to cultivate a young talent into a long-term asset, something that could pay dividends down the road if managed correctly. As the days count down to Monza, speculation will only intensify. The team's final call could shape not just their debut season, but the trajectory of the entire project. All that's left is to see whether the Italian Grand Prix weekend will indeed deliver the long-awaited confirmation. So what's your take? Would Perez be the right move for Cadillac? Or should they place their bets on youth and long-term potential?